Welcome back to Between the Lines podcast with Aedan and Chris. We're back for another week, baby. Let's see what we got. We got baseball, football to talk about. I think we're gonna get right into baseball. There's not much to talk about with that, but Chris, you're gonna start us off. Go ahead, brother. How you feeling today?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Stove has cooled off a little bit after the winter meetings wrapped up.
Yeah,
Nothing major. It's going to be a little quiet, I think, from now through the holiday season. Hopefully, in the
yeah,
beginning of Jeff Passan put out an article, and it seems like the asking prices are just a little bit too high right now for the owners'
yeah.
likings. So it seems like everyone's just in a little bit of a lull right now until someone caves. So I wouldn't expect
Right.
anything too crazy for the next 2 weeks. But Yankees
Mhm.
continue to be aggressive post Juan Soto filling out the roster. They make a move for Cody Bellinger and 5 million cash for in exchange for right-handed pitcher Cody Petit. So yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
when you look at it on the surface, Yankees got Bellinger for, pretty much nothing, right? Petit
Yeah,
is
dirt
a
cheap.
sixth or seventh starter. Obviously,
Yeah,
this move is a salary dump from the Cubs. That's all it is. There's nothing behind it. It's just kind of crazy because that's a big market team that's barely over 100 million, and they're dumping money. So it's just baseball's not in a good
yeah.
state right now with that. I think that would be an interesting topic to dive into one day. But you know what? The Yankees, they like his versatility. He can play right, center, left, first base.
Great
Big
first
left,
base. Yeah,
big left-handed bat who pulls fly balls into the air, and that'll play at Yankee Stadium. His expected numbers. I think he had 18 home runs last year. They said he would be projected to have around 24 if he played all his games at Yankee Stadium. So he
yeah.
goes from Wrigley Field, which is a tough hitter's park, to a more neutral, but definitely hitter friendly for a lefty with that short right field porch. I think it'll be a nice fit. I don't think the Yankees are done. You can't really be mad at it. It's only a 2-year contract. It's really only a 1 year because he can opt out if he has another good year. So
Yeah.
I think it's a low risk, low reward. I mean, high reward move for the Yankees, which is good because you don't want them to. You don't want to see them lose out on Soto and then just rage spend and hand out all these crazy
Right.
contracts where
Yeah.
we're
Really, kind of
tying
like go
ourselves
into
down.
desperation. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. And I think Max Fried was a good person to give an 8-year contract to. People say he's 30, he's got some injuries, but he profiles as a pitcher that's going to have a nice long career, barring injury. He throws a lot of strikes, he throws a lot of different pitches. He just profiles as someone that's going to age well. So I think they were comfortable committing to him long term. And then, Devin Williams, you can work out an extension with him if you like, and Bellinger, obviously, a short commitment. So for their next move, I'm going to predict a first baseman. It just seems like the next logical move. There's
Mhm.
obviously Alonso and Christian Walker out there. I don't know if they go those routes. I think Alonso would be interesting, the Mets connection, maybe to get back at them a little bit. And he's a big power righty. He's good for about 35, 40 homers, but I don't know if they go down that route. I would expect something a little more lower commitment, maybe a Paul Goldschmidt or a Carlos Santana,
Yeah.
and see if they can develop Ben Rice a little bit too, because I think Ben Rice can hit, but he has to learn first base. He would
Yeah.
probably benefit from being in AAA a little bit to work on the defense. And
I
yeah, I'm
agree.
interested to see what they do, though. I think they're in a good spot post Soto so far. It's obviously
Mm.
I disagree with people who are like, "Oh yeah, this team's better than Soto." I don't think it's better, but I think it has a chance to be more well-rounded. So we'll see
Right.
what they do over the next couple weeks and up until spring training in February.
Yeah, I think, like you said, they're not gonna be, some phenomenal superstar team. I don't think they were even last year. I mean, it was really just we didn't rely on Soto, but Soto helped our lineup a lot. But like you said, we're gonna feel more relaxed when we have our reliever. Like we got more depth, right? Our rotation further, or a deep rotation now. Um, it's just a more filled out roster, like you said. I think it'll be there were times where we'd have like Clay Holmes come to the mound and I'd be stressed out in my mind, just stuff like that. But I think that it's more relaxed, if that makes sense. That we don't have to rely on a single guy to hit for us like Judge and Soto. We don't have to rely on a single pitcher like Garrett Cole and Luke Weaver to get us out of these situations every single time. Or just pray for those kinds of games to come around again, just so we can get wins. But there's going to be guys that we can rely on to just get the job done, be as simple as get the job done, and for cheap money, like you said. Like a guy like Bellinger, I think will be a great leader in the locker room as well as I mean, obviously Judge is going to be there, but I think he'll bring a great aspect of that humble, like quiet captain kind of. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think the moves are going to be smart. But now, Chris, do you think Santander ever is still considered in the running for the Yankees or no?
Um, Not in the outfield. I think their outfield is pretty set with
Yeah.
Judge, Bellinger, and Dominguez. I would be interested if he would come down on his asking price a little, maybe like 4 years, 85, 90 million, and see if he'd be willing to move to first base. Because honestly, for a guy like him, he's going to end up at first base anyways. That power production would be really nice in the middle of the lineup, a switch hitting
Mm,
power bat like that. He hit more home runs than Soto last year. Obviously, he's not better than Soto, but I don't think people realize he had 44 home runs last year.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
For
I
sure.
wouldn't be mad at it. Again, I think the hesitance on the Yankees part right now is, a lot of these free agents have draft picks attached to them. Anyone that received a qualifying offer from their existing team has draft picks attached to them. So you lose
Right.
picks when you sign them. And like the Yankees have been very active in the trade market the last calendar year. They got Soto, Verdugo, Chisholm. They just got Bellinger. They got Devin Williams. So they're giving up a lot of pieces, and that hurts the farm. So the Yankees need their draft picks to fill out the farm and be able to operate with these trades. So I think if the price comes down, I could see it, but I'm not going to bank on it. But I do think that would
Right.
be an interesting fit in the middle of the order. And I just think overall, the Yankees are gonna lack a little bit of the star power in the lineup, but I think if you can raise the floor of some of these other positions, it should help them in a weak American League. Like, you think about when we got to
100%.
the World Series last year, we had no production from first base, no production from catcher after Wells got hurt in September. Gleyber Torres was
Mhm.
horrible until the playoffs. You got no production out of left field. Um, and third base, you didn't get any production until the trade deadline, and then shortstop, obviously Volpe was below average with the bat all year until the playoffs. So if you can just raise the floor of a couple positions, and you hope that the young guys like Volpe, Wells, and Dominguez take a step forward, I still think the Yankees are going to have a solid team that should win around 90 games next year, hopefully a little
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I agree. I think they don't have to. I think the mentality with the Yankees is the image of the Bronx Bombers, and I'm not saying they go with they always shoot for the fences every time every single player does, but it's that image of like I have to be the greatest player. I don't think these guys understand like all you gotta do just make contact, bro. Just make contact. Put the ball in play. I think a guy like Volpe, if Volpe was on a hot streak in the beginning of the year, I think if he sticks with that mentality, he'd be one of the best shortstops in the game. I mean, it's quite simple. I mean, just like you said, just one step forward is all you need. So, and a lot of these guys take that one small step forward. They'd be
Yeah.
well-rounded. So, it's not going to
Yeah.
be the Aaron Judge show anymore. So, which would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously Judge the whole engine that makes
Yeah,
everything go, and without
for sure.
Soto, you don't really have any protection for him. If he goes down, they'd be in a really tough spot. But I think if you could just get, league average or a little bit above average production across the board, it would go a long way. And I mean, we
Yeah,
saw what happened to the Yankees in the World Series. Fundamentally, they were not sound and not athletic, and it cost them. That first game, the Yankees were up in the ninth inning, 2-1, I believe, or three
yes.
to two. Yeah, 2-1, I believe.
Yep,
And sorry, it was the eighth inning, and Otani hit a double over Soto's head, and then Soto couldn't come up with it cleanly, which allowed him to get the second. And then on the throw in, Gleyber Torres didn't get in front of the ball, and it skipped past him, and Otani got the third, and they tied the game. So, if they do
yep,
that right, they win game one, and then everyone knows what happened in game five, where they made 3 hours in one inning. If they make one of those plays in game five, they probably win that game, and maybe the Yankees are up 3-2 going to a game six in LA with a chance to win the
yeah,
World Series, you know? Like,
right. Just little
I think that's what's
things.
frustrating because they let that opportunity with Soto on the team slip through their fingers. So I would expect them to continue to value defense and athleticism
Mm.
as we
Chris,
move in the offseason.
do you think if we win the World Series, Soto stays with us, or does it matter?
Probably not. honestly. I think if they didn't win, I think if they won, it would have been an even easier decision for him because he would have got his ring. It was kind of reminds me of Kawhi Leonard. Like he got his ring with the Raptors, and he knew he wanted to leave, and it wasn't hard because he got the job done.
Right,
I
right.
think if we won, it wouldn't have. I think it wouldn't have
I
affected
think it would have
anything. He
just
probably
raised the
might.
price
He
more.
probably. Yeah, I was gonna say he probably would have got more from the Mets, and
I was gonna say, yeah.
more stuff keeps coming out about
That could
what
have
the Mets.
been if we won. I think it could have been 800 million. I think it could
Yeah,
have been
eight
eight
hundred
hundred
million
million
before the
at least.
incentives. I agree.
Yeah,
But now
yeah,
you hear all this stuff that's coming out about all these incentives that he got, and we've talked about the security. I read now he's getting chartered flights for his family to and from away games, and this is a weird
yeah.
one. I don't know if I believe this, but I read from NJ.com that his mother is getting like a clothing allowance from the Mets,
Wow,
so they're essentially gonna
that's
buy
just
which is like if
yeah.
that's true, it's just like, dude, you're getting $50 million a year. You can't like why does the owner have to
I
pay for your
know,
moms? You know what I
I
mean?
know.
If that's what the Mets want to do to um, attract a free agent, then more power to them. It's just
It's
I find
really
it
gonna come around
strange.
$1 billion. They're really gonna give around $1 billion to this guy, just total of everything. And it's just think about it, like the amount of stuff he's giving him, it's really coming to around $1 billion, and it's just insane.
It's just
And you know what?
yeah, it's
If they really believe in that as like he's the guy, and fair enough. But it's just it goes to the old debate of like what is overpaying in sports and what is not just baseball, in sports in general. And it just seems like, respectfully, Soto is a great player, but he's just not the best. He's not the best player. I mean, I'd be doing this to Otani if anybody, and the dude get he did some big, what was the thing that I forget what it's called, but he took some big cut where he's taking like he's taking 680 million at the
yeah, he
end of
took
his
a
career,
deferral. Yeah,
basically.
he took a
The
crazy
deferral, that's what it
deferral.
is. Right. So that he's getting all his money at the end of his career, just so the Dodgers can have a salary cap to work with for the rest of while he's there to keep winning. Because you know, Otani understands he wanted to get paid, but he wants to win too. The dude wants to win. I love that.
Yeah,
But he's worth it in my eyes. He was really worth it. I mean, he's just a generational player. So,
yeah, he's
but
the
yeah, I mean,
best. He's the
respect.
best.
Yeah, respect to Soto for getting the bag.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's all you
I
can
mean,
say.
yeah. We'll veer off now. I mean, there's not much. Well, hopefully, the stuff happens in the next week or two to talk for baseball because it's like you said, it might die down a bit. But we got a lot of intense football going on now. A lot of drama, really. A lot of drama just rose up. I'm sure Chris saw what I'm going to talk about right now because I want to see his opinion as a Jets fan. Woody Johnson. A lot of rumors going around about these stories with Madden ratings and how he's been handling the Jets team, and making these decisions and pushing Joe Douglas to sign certain players and trade for players based off of Madden ratings, and asking his like nephews and sons and all this stuff about what they should do for the team. And I don't know. I mean, right here I have it says Woody Johnson uh followed Woody Johnson told GM Joe Douglas that he didn't want to make a trade for Jerry Judy because his batting rating was too low. Now, if that's a true statement, I'm behooved, okay? Because how on earth could you look at a video game and say, nah, I'm not going to take this player? Which this led to them actually getting Mike Williams, who was an 87 in Madden, and Jerry Judy was an 81. Mike Williams is no longer on the team, and Jerry Judy is a 1,000-yard receiver for the season for the first time in his career.
Sorry, you cut out there. What are you still there?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I said the Jets signed Mike Williams for an 87 overall, and Jerry Judy was an 81 overall. And Mike Williams is no longer with the Jets, and Jerry Judy has 1,000 yards receiving this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to think. I would say this though. I would take it with a grain of salt for sure, because if you
Yeah,
think about where the Athletic is getting these sources, they're coming from cough cough Joe Douglas, but people that have been fired recently, right? So
yeah,
I'm sure I have read on multiple occasions that Woody is easily influenced by the media and
Yes.
what's going on, on Twitter or Jets blogs, and his sons, they're like 15 and 17, so I am sure that they probably bring him, information that they see. Um, the Madden rating just seems too outrageous to be true. I mean, it
Yeah.
could be, but like,
I don't think it's
I don't
entirely
know.
true. I think it might have been to
No,
me,
and I
I
mean that
read
article gets
this.
into some crazy things. Like, go
Yeah,
ahead
I
and I'll
mean,
tell you what I saw.
I read this, and I'm like, this is a joke, or this is blown up to be some dramatic thing. You know,
Yeah.
we don't know anything. We don't know anything specific. We're not here to judge, but there's other things about like, he wanted when the Jets traded Wilson to the Broncos. Johnson asked the team to trade the 256th pick instead of the 257th pick because Woody wanted to keep the Mr. Irrelevant pick so the Jets could get their own Brock Purdy. Now,
Yeah, I
is
mean that I
that
believe
exactly what he said word for
Woody would
word?
like to.
Maybe, maybe. It just sounds irrational. It sounds wild. It doesn't seem real to say these kinds of things as an owner of a team. Now, if they're true, they're true, and whatever, it happens. But Joe Douglas going around saying these things is very immature on his part, in my opinion. And I don't want to sound judgmental, but I think that if I guess he's trying to just defend himself, if that makes sense, and say like I didn't make these decisions. I got overpowered by the owner, and I didn't really have power with the Jets. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it just sounds like a GM who went, 34, and I don't know. I don't even know how many years he was there, what it equates to. I only know he had 34 wins in 6 years, so whatever the math is.
Yeah,
It sounds like a GM trying to cover his ass. I think he was like 34 and 60 or something like that.
yeah,
Um, I don't believe that Woody Johnson went to Mike White after the game against the Seahawks in 2022 and said, "You effing suck." There's no way
yeah.
that's true.
He didn't say that.
And
No.
if it were true, why are we hearing about it 2 years later? That was 2
Yeah.
seasons ago. If
Right.
that were true,
Exactly.
and Mike White's not on the team anymore, why are we not hearing about that earlier? So,
Right.
they say he brings his sons into the executive meetings. I don't know. Honestly, the more bad PR that the Jets get, I think the hope is that Woody takes a step back like James Dolan of the Knicks did and just lets
Yeah.
people he hires run the show, and that's why the Knicks
Yeah.
are good. They're back in the playoffs, like, every year. They're a
Yeah.
contender in the
I think that's a
East.
good.
I think that's just what the Jets have to do. Like, Woody has to take a step back and,
Mhm.
let people. There's no question that he wants to win. It's just I don't think the methods are working right now,
I
clearly.
think I think he's got to bring in a guy that can run the show for him, kind of, if that makes sense. Not
Yeah.
for him, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean. Like, just takes
Well,
charge and
yeah.
yeah. Woody would definitely have the. Obviously, he has the decision to bring in the GM that he wants, but you got to bring in a guy that would say, or maybe that agrees with Woody's, standards or something like that. Or but let that guy run it. 'Cause that's what the GM's all about. He runs the organization. He runs the team he builds. He runs the coaches that train these guys and bring them together. If you find the guy that that you agree with but manages well, that's all you need. You can sit back
Yeah.
and relax and kick your feet up and enjoy your team working hard. That's really it. So I think you're right, Chris. I think Woody just needs to take a step back and let these guys do their job.
I read that, the main target for SOI that they want to be the head coach is Mike Vrabel. So I think that would be a great hire.
Interesting.
He's
Yeah.
top of my list too. I think he's gonna be top of everyone's list, honestly. But I think
Mm.
that's kinda what they need. They need a leader of men who has experience. Like, I don't think they can afford to take on a rookie head coach at this point, and obviously it
Right.
depends what they do with Aaron Rodgers and this whole roster,
Yeah.
and if Garrett Wilson's actually gonna request a trade or whatever that report was. This happens every year with the Jets. I mean, there's no winning on the field, so the media has a field day, and they've been publishing crazy stories like this, and,
Yeah.
a lot of times nothing comes of it. We forget about it in a week, and that's what's gonna happen here, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
exhausting
I
for
like
sure.
Vrabel. I really like Vrabel though. I think that's a really good shout for the Jets to make because he has. I mean, to be fair, Chris, I honestly I did like Salah. I like Salah a lot. I think you liked him too. I liked him a lot. I think
Picked him
that
when they
defense
hired
was
him
top.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that defense was top five the entire time he was there. Top five defense in the league. Um,
Yeah,
he built something really powerful. I don't know what happened with the offense. Maybe it just took time for Rodgers to get settled, I guess, or get back into the rhythm of things. So I genuinely believe you
yeah,
could make him a bridge quarterback and keep him for another year or two, and just let him play out the rest of his career. Because I think you genuinely could make the playoffs next year, Chris. I genuinely believe that because of um, I think Rodgers has one or two more decent years in him. If he plays like how he's been playing the past couple of games, at least for a whole year, he could definitely do that. I think Adams kind of rejuvenated him, if that makes sense, right? And
yeah,
and I know Garrett, the rumors about him not being exactly too happy, or with his role, or wants more targets, and like every receiver wants that. But I think what if the Jets do it correctly, um, if Garrett would see that they're building a super offense and their defense is already solid. You just need to find the right guy again.
yeah. I mean, I think the easiest thing to do. I know that Roger said he's open to a pay cut. So if that was true, then that would be the ideal route I'd like to go. Is I would bring him back probably.
Yeah,
I think he's finally healthy for the first time since week 3. Week 3, remember in that Thursday night game when they played the Pats and he was moving around, he looked
yeah,
great, and the Jets moved to 2-1. He threw for like 280 and 2 touchdowns. Everyone thought, all right, this is who the Jets are going to be. He still has it. And then he got hurt, and I read he was dealing with some very severe lower lower half injuries up until the bye week. I read he
mm,
had a slight hamstring tear, a serious
yep,
knee sprain, and you could see it. I mean, he couldn't move. He had no deep ball, and then all of a sudden, they play Seattle a couple weeks ago off the bye week, and he's running around. He's throwing blocks. I'm like, okay, he looks pretty good. And
yeah,
then they play the Jaguars last Sunday. He threw for about 290 and 3 touchdowns. Devontae had 200 yards in the second half, two
yeah. It
touchdowns, and
was
I
absurd.
think over his last 4 games, he has 13 touchdowns and 1 pick. I mean, that's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy to me that, like, a big portion of the Jets fans are ready to run Aaron Rodgers out of town when he's probably gonna finish the year with, like, almost 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. That's unheard of from a
yeah,
Jets quarterback in my opinion.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, depending on who they bring in, if they bring in a Mike Vrabel and he wants Rodgers, then that's an easy fix. I think it would make the most sense to keep him and Adams for 1 more year. And
yeah,
then obviously, if Garrett Wilson does request a trade, I really don't think anything would happen because he's only going into year 4, and then they have the 5th-year option, so
yeah,
they have control.
yeah. I don't think
Typically,
he's leaving.
I feel like it's a negotiation tactic to get in their contracts too. Like I'm pretty sure Jamar requested a trade, and Jefferson and CD. Like there's always rumblings. So
Yeah,
I think if you run it back, the offensive line looks good. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
it looks good. You
yeah,
have a
for
core
sure.
there. I do think they could be competitive next year if they get the right
Yeah, if you
leadership.
add one more piece to that line, you could be really solid. Give Rodgers a little more time, which then this just helps
Yeah,
Garrett a lot, honestly, because Adams isn't going to be open every single time, but that you have a 1A, 1B option at wide receiver. You have a guy who knows what he's doing with the football and Rodgers. I'm telling you right now, you find a coach that can get that defense back to what it was. You guys have a playoff team. I genuinely believe that. 'Cause it's like both sides of football for you guys popped out at the exact opposite times, if that makes sense. So, you had your defense
yeah. I
showing out at
mean,
the beginning and your offense was very deflated. Now you completely flip it around and it's the exact opposite after you lost Salah. Um, Now I'm not saying Salah was, a great coach for the offense or whatever. He definitely was a great coach for the defense. But if you got
yeah,
to find that guy that loves Rodgers and loves the offense right now and can just rejuvenate that defense again or bring that defense back. So
yeah. I mean, the Jets are up until last week. They were 0-7 and one score games, and I think they were 2-5 in games which they were in the fourth quarter with a lead with like a minute to
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
So you think of obviously I said last week you could pretty much pinpoint every single Jets game where it went wrong. Um, if they were just a little more attentive to detail and finishing football games, they're still in the playoff mix, right? They're
yeah.
4 and even if they win 3 of those games, they're 7-7
They're still a wild
and right
card. Yeah,
yeah, so that's why there's too much talent on this team for it to play as bad as it has. I would like to give it one more year, I think with Rodgers and hopefully a real coaching staff and spend your top 10 pick on, maybe Abdul Carter or Mason Graham or Will Johnson, one of those elite defenders.
yeah,
And then, quarterback is obviously an issue, but this isn't a great quarterback draft. So that's
yeah.
all I have
For
to
sure.
say for now on the
I mean,
Jets.
also as a fan, I mean, who doesn't want to see Rodgers to Adams? It's one of the most beautiful things on the
Yeah, I mean,
planet.
I think the thing about Adams is why he's getting so many more targets than Garrett Wilson. Maybe Garrett Wilson's not too happy about that. Is he's so smart. Devontae Adams
Yeah,
has just an innate ability to work through coverage and find the soft
yeah.
spots, and he's always open. He's
And
in into his 30s and he's always open.
yeah, and if you think about it, if Garrett's smart, stays there and he stays a little more humble. If the rumors of him being upset are true, I'm saying if he gets a little more humble and says, "I want to learn from this guy, but I want to learn more than anybody else." Wilson can learn all about Adams's. Adams has one of the best wide receiver IQs I've ever seen in my entire life. Because if he has
Yes.
an option route, he knows where to go 100% of the time. Okay, and if Garrett learns that from Adams, and hopefully he will stay, I think he will. If he stays with Adams and learns from Rodgers, you know that IQ gets passed on to him, and now Garrett becomes one of the most biggest cheat codes in football. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because Garrett has the qualities of a great receiver. That's a given. Now, if I think he overall is a great receiver too. What made Adams elite was his IQ and how to run certain routes against certain matchups. And if Garrett recognizes that and learns from Adams over the next year and a half, Garrett is going to be phenomenal.
Absolutely. And Garrett Wilson is the absolute kind of person you want to keep in your locker room. He has zero off the field issues. He just wants to win.
Yeah,
I would pay him top dollar money, set a precedent for these homegrown players that if you come here and you perform, you're going to get paid. So he
yeah.
deserves it. I would extend him. I'd offer him that extension this offseason, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's drift off a little bit. So speaking of GMs and managers and stuff like that, we're gonna talk about fantasy football now.
Oh,
Chris and
yeah.
I, Chris and I are in a we're in a dynasty league and a redraft league together. But however, in the redraft league, you're in the playoffs and it's the second round, and Chris and I are going against each other. And we're gonna read off our lineups and we're gonna talk about it a little bit because I'm very very interested about this matchup. This is gonna be
Yeah,
awesome.
it should
I'm
be a good
really
one.
we talked about it already. How we're disappointed how we have to face each other this early, that we wish we were on the opposite sides of the bracket to face each other in the finals, which would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been
But
cool.
we have to. There's can only be one winner this time. Um, let's go back to last week though, and I'll look at Chris's team because Chris and I believe were the top two scorers of last week. Now Chris was the
Yeah.
2 seed. You were the 2 seed, Chris.
Yeah, I was on a bye, so I didn't play last week, but I still had 170 points with Cooper Cup getting
Yeah,
0.
that's
And with
insane.
I had Herbert only get 13, Rodgers had 32 on my bench, and Brian Thomas had 32 on my bench.
Yeah,
I had a crazy
that's
week. I mean,
absurd.
Adams had 42, Evans had 36, and Chase Brown had
Yeah.
26.
You could
So,
have you could have put up 230 points if I mean obviously realistically you're not putting in Brian Thomas over
Brian
Cup, but
Thomas, yeah.
still, I mean that's a potential 230 right there. And then my team last week I had 179 points. And I had my trio, my three-headed monster of wide receivers. I had CeeDee Lamb for 26, Neighbors for 24, and Terry McLaurin for 26. But I also
Oh,
put in
yeah.
Jared Goff. I picked up Jared Goff, I believe, two
Yeah,
weeks
that was
ago. I put him in because I was like, it has to be. Has to be a game that goes to 40 points each or something like that. So Goff's gonna be forced to throw the ball against Josh, especially what happened in the game, unfortunately, with David Montgomery being down. They had to rely on Jahmyr Gibbs and the passing offense a little more. So Goff went for 45 points. Now the weak spot on my team was Tyrone Tracy, and I mean Aaron Jones wasn't really weak. He had 18 points, but Tyrone Tracy only went for 4 points. I don't really have a strong RB2 or even RB1 really. I have Rashad White on my bench who went for 14, but looking at the matchup for this week, Chris, you're projected 130 with a 51% chance of winning. I'm projected 126 with a 49% chance of winning. It couldn't be more even. Now, you
Yeah.
put in Rodgers this week. You're gonna put
Yeah.
are you gonna stick with that?
I mean, I think so. Herbert's playing tonight against
Mm,
Denver. Yeah, that's a tough matchup. Um, Rodgers has looked a lot better these last couple weeks. He threw for 330 yards against Miami and 289. So the Rams defense, the pass defense has been great. Cold weather game at MetLife with the Rams coming across the country. I'm just hoping I get, you know, 20 points out
yeah.
of Rodgers, and maybe Rodgers and Adams stays hot. I'll be honest, the
Yeah.
one thing I'm really, really concerned about is my defense. I have the
Mm,
Steelers. I have the Steelers who it's gonna be only projected 2 points. I know projections don't really matter, but they're playing the
yeah.
Ravens, so that's not a good
Yeah.
matchup. And then I have the Bills, and they've just been getting shredded these last couple weeks.
Yeah.
They had -10 against the Rams and -6 against Detroit, but they're playing the Patriots. So I've
Yeah.
been kind of debating, whether or not I want to pick up a defense. But I mean, the Falcons defense had 22 points last week against
To
Vegas, and
be
they're playing the Giants,
yeah.
so that might be.
Yep.
I mean,
We'll
I'm
talk
giving
about
away
that
my
later.
game plan to you, but I don't know. I'm gonna be
To
sitting
be
on that one
fair,
for a couple
To be fair,
days.
Chris, I think you'll be fine purely because I mean the Rams and the Lions are really high-powered offenses. I mean, look at the weeks before that. Bills are getting 17 against Miami, 15 against Jacksonville, 13 against Tennessee, 14 against San Francisco, 17 against Indiana. They're a good defense. I think they're a good defense. It's just playing two offenses like that with two Ben Johnson and Sean McVay running those offenses as well as not
Yeah,
only just having like complete studs all around on both the Rams and Lions offenses, but I
yeah,
think those are just 2 weeks and the Bills had to rely on Josh Allen a lot more. So I think your defense will be fine. I have the Denver defense. I have
yeah.
them going tonight, and Denver's defense was disgusting. I think they. I mean, I did. I won by a good amount last week, but I have the Denver defense in a lot of leagues, and I was really worried in the beginning when Richardson and the Colts were up big. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna get like no points for my defense, and it's gonna screw me over in some leagues, and they're gonna go negative. Something happened in that second half, and they showed up and popped out. The pick six, the first pick six on the double pass,
That was
my jaw
crazy.
dropped. My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe you got in front of that pass. It was amazing. Um,
That was a
now
terrible play.
Oh my god, it was a terrible play. It was a great read by their defensive end. To be fair, and he jumped right in front of it. But the
Yeah,
weakest spot of my team really is running backs because Chris, you have Chase Brown and Kyron, and you're actually not the only
I
guy
have
I'm
Brees on my
playing
bench
that has them,
too.
and you have Brees on your bench, right? So the
Yeah,
amount
he's
of
gonna
depth you
stay there, I
have,
think. He has not been good.
interesting.
Yeah,
Not
well, I mean,
you
Devontae is
think
too
Cup
hot to take out right now.
right? You think Cup comes has a comeback back week?
The Jets' defense is really not good. Um, I like the volume for Cooper Kupp. I know he had 0, but,
I think
um,
that's why he's going to get a big week this week, though. It's
I
because
don't
he
I
had
mean, the
nothing
Jets'
last week.
defense is just not good. I mean, they can't
Yeah,
stop anyone.
yeah,
So, I think
I agree.
Puka, Kyron, and Cooper are gonna
Yeah,
have a good day, honestly.
yeah. You see, the QB matchup's interesting. The Q, because I'm starting Baker this week now.
Yeah.
I it's so tough because if Dak was, I really wish Dak was still in because this is the kind of week where it'd be like another shootout kind of thing with the Bucks and the Cowboys, and it would have been nice to see because Baker would have had to throw the ball a lot. And I still think he's gonna throw the ball a lot, but the other downfall I have of this is you have Mike Evans, so and I know he's
Yeah.
the number one target on that team, and
Yeah.
no Chris Godwin anymore, and I have Rashad White. It's
I
split. I
have
gotta
Bucky
pray that
too.
Yeah, you have Bucky Irving. There you go. So I mean, it's not like you're gonna play him maybe because of how deep your roster is, but
I drafted a really
it's
deep team for skill
yeah,
position
you
this
did.
year.
And you know what's crazy too is your trio right now in receivers in your lineup are all like 30-plus-year-old guys that were fantasy studs like 3 years ago, and like
Dude, I mean, Mike
you
Evans is
know,
like old reliable, dude. He's
oh
good
my
for
god, yeah,
100 catches and 1,000 yards minimum.
every year, yeah, I agree.
And he was
And
hurt this year too, and the volume is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I'm very disappointed in how the Cardinals are using Marvin Harrison, though. I won't lie. I was so upset.
Their
I just
passing
don't think.
offense is just not good right
Yeah,
now. They're just
yeah,
a run
I
first
know,
team.
I know. And to be fair, I mean, Kyler and James Conner are a good duo, but you draft Marvin, you figured you get him 120 targets at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, nothing's going on there. I just need a big. This is the Brock Bowers week. I need. I'm telling you right now, bro. He's gonna pop out. You have Jonnu Smith in. You have
I
Jonnu
picked
Smith
him
as your
up.
tight end.
Yeah.
Oh
I picked
my
him up like
gosh.
2 or 3
He's a
weeks ago. He's been
screen
crazy.
merchant, bro. He's a screen merchant. He
He is a
had
screen
in his in
merchant.
his past in 3 of his past 4 games, he's had 11 targets. That's insane. Oh
Yeah, they
my
throw to him a
goodness.
lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I got lucky. I mean, um, my original pick was Kincaid, and he's been a letdown. And then
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
picked up Jonnu like right before the Vegas game, and then he's been a stud since.
Yeah.
So hoping to
Oh.
get 2 more weeks of Matt, but they're playing San Fran this week. It's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough because I like Lamb this week. I like Mayfield. McLaurin, I'm a little nervous with that Eagles defense and Jaden Daniels. I don't know. I don't know. Malik, I'm a little worried about just because the Falcons have a tough defense. I don't know. I'm really surprised that you're not projected more. I'm really not. I really am. Because I thought, like, what's Kyron and Chase Brown? I feel like,
Kyron is
who's
projected
projected?
16 and a half, and Chase Brown's projected 19.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like you should be projected more. I guess Cup's projection went down a
Oh,
little bit.
my quarterback Rodgers is only projected 17, which isn't a lot, and yeah, Cup is
But
14.
yeah,
I don't know. Cup might.
yeah,
I'm
this will
undecided.
be
I might
interesting.
go Devontae in for Cup and then Brees in the flex. I'm gonna be
Interesting.
thinking about that one for a
Yeah,
couple
but how
days.
how has Brees been the past couple days?
I mean, he had 13 last week, but he
Past
only
couple
had
weeks.
9. Like I said to you, the volume just isn't there for Brees. I
Yeah,
mean, he hasn't had
yeah.
over 20 attempts in a game this year. He's
That's
just not. I
insane.
mean,
Wow, the most is
I've said to you, I think.
18.
Yeah, I said to
Yeah,
you, I think the best player on the Jets offense is Brees, and they don't utilize him. But
yeah, I
you know,
agree. I agree. He does
that's
get
the
a lot of
problem.
he does get a lot of catches, to be fair, but that's not how you should utilize him.
Yeah, he gets a good amount of targets, but it's just
Mm.
not. It doesn't play to his skill set.
Yeah. All right. I think I really need a Brock Bowers miracle this week in order to beat you. I don't. I want to have
I don't
confidence in
know,
my
dude.
team,
I
but I think
mean,
it's
your
been
team is
broken down.
nasty.
You see, the problem is, so Baker was not my quarterback that I drafted, and neither was Anthony Richardson. Sorry, neither was Jared Goff. I drafted Anthony Richardson, and I
Yeah,
really wanted him to work out. I really did. I thought, with their head coach being from Philly, I really just thought, fourth and inches, fourth and goal, 1 yard line, first and goal, 1 yard line, touch push that, and just try with Anthony because I think he's even bigger than Hurts. I mean, just why
yeah,
not? He had that Cam Newton kind of vibe to me. I thought he was going to go off. Maybe he does hopefully pan out soon, but I just think his decision making on the ball has been very poor this year, and it didn't get better from last year. You know, I don't know. I was just disappointed in him because I thought he was going to be a fantasy
yeah.
merchant this year.
He is at a
So yeah,
rough year.
I'm gonna say Chris wins, but barely. I'm gonna say barely. I'm gonna say the projection
Yeah,
is
I
really
don't know,
accurate.
dude.
It'll be
I don't
tough. It'll be
know.
tough. We have to wait and see, dude. So
Yeah, we really. There's no. I'm not even gonna
you can't
project or
really. It's
guess
tough.
anything.
It's
I
tough
think.
to predict. It's tough to predict fantasy, because you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I think it'll be really close though between us. Now,
should be a good game.
yeah, yeah. Now, who do we play? Who if we win? Who do we play in the finals?
Sean and
Oh,
Nick are on the other
Todd and Nick.
side.
Hey, I thought it was Max. Oh no, I beat Max. I beat Max.
Well, Nick has a
No,
crazy.
Nick
He
beat
was
Max.
he
I
was
beat
one and
Aiden.
seven, and Nick
Yeah.
traded Christian McCaffrey away to Ben, and he got Joe Mixon and Puka, and I was like,
That
Ben at the
saved
time
him.
was on a heater. He was like, he had a crazy team. And I was like, I can't believe he just gave Christian McCaffrey to this team. Like this team, like Ben's team could probably run through the playoffs because he had Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson, he had Nico Collins, but
Yep.
Ben has faltered and Nick has not lost a game. I jokingly said to Nick when he
Yeah.
made the trade to run the table, and he hasn't lost a game since.
That's
So yeah,
insane.
Nick
That is
Nick is a team that you don't want to
insane.
play right now. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we're on the other side of the bracket from them. But yeah, you don't want to play Nick right now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Here's my favorite part, baby. We're going into our matchups. We're doing game picks. Chris, talk
Oh
about last
yeah.
week because it was not a good week for me last week. It
Ooh,
was a great
last
week for
week,
you, though.
in the first window, we did well. The only pick that we both got wrong was the Panther game. We picked the Panthers
Uh-huh.
and the Cowboys. The Cowboys beat them down a little bit.
Yeah, they roll over.
So we were essentially tied. And then going into the 4 o'clock window,
No, don't do
I
it.
yeah, I kind of went off. I was
Oh, he
19 and
did.
5. I was 19 and 5 coming into the week, and Aiden was 21 and 3. So I needed to make up a couple games, and we split on a ton of picks. So it was
Yeah.
gonna happen one way or another. So I picked the Cardinals, Bills, Buccaneers, and Eagles in the 4 o'clock window and went 4-0. And Aiden picked the Cardinals, Lions, Chargers, and Steelers. So
I
he
went one
went
and
one and
three.
three. We both got the Sunday night game wrong. I knew when we made that pick, I thought we were wrong. I think we put a little too
Which
much
one?
stock into
Which one was
going
that?
to the Seattle Green Bay.
Oh,
I
yes,
knew
yes, yes,
I
yes,
thought
yes,
we
yes,
put
yes.
too much stock into the travel and the 12th man because that stadium was
Yeah.
essentially all Packers fans.
Yeah.
And then Monday night, I went 2-0. I had the Vikings and the Falcons, and you had the Vikings and the Raiders. So that was our total. I went
Mhm.
13-2. You went 9-6. I'm now 32 and
Dang.
7, and you're 30 and 9.
No. No.
Yeah, I pulled ahead.
Oh.
I have a
Hey,
2 game
fair
lead
play to
heading
you.
into
You picked
into week
well. You picked
16.
well. I think
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just my logic of what I was thinking is I didn't think the Bills were gonna lose 2 in a row, and the Lions had to
Yeah,
lose at some point.
yeah.
Um, I just think the Eagles are better than the Steelers. I like the Buccaneers offense over the Chargers offense. I don't think the Chargers score enough points to hang with
Yeah,
some of the elite
that's a
teams in
good
the
point.
league. And then Monday night, I mean, that was a barely a win. I mean, if the Raiders had Aiden O'Connell, I probably would have picked them. 'Cause the
Mm,
Falcons have problems, and oh yeah, we didn't even talk
yeah.
about, Kirk Cousins being benched for
Yes.
Michael Penix.
We'll talk about it when we come to that game, when we do our picks,
Yeah.
but this is interesting, Chris, because I actually can't wait till we get to the playoffs and, like, we should, like, make brackets and stuff to, like, predict,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how
Yeah, yeah,
far
yeah,
the
for
playoffs
sure.
go. That'd be good, but, I can't wait till, like, next year, and we do it from week 1 and just see our overall record. That's gonna
I
be
know,
amazing.
I know.
Awesome. Yeah. Alright, let's get right into it then. We're gonna make our picks.
Let's get into it.
What week is this? Week 16?
Week 16,
Wow, week 16, bro. I hate
another
how fast
season
football
flying
flies.
by. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes so fast. I mean, to be fair, you have to. You can't have these guys play 80 games like hockey. They'll
Yeah,
die, you know. But
yeah.
all right. Well, we're posting on Thursday tonight, so we get to
We can
discuss
pick tonight's
our
game.
Thursday night game, which is the Broncos Chargers. Chris, go for it.
Oh, man, I mean, this is a game I'm having a tough time picking.
Hmm.
Let's see, when did they play this year?
They played, I believe.
They played week 6, and the Chargers won
Mm,
23-16. That was really before Bo Nix started, rounding out into form.
right.
I think I'm gonna go with Denver.
Yes.
That defense is, playing out of their minds right now.
Yeah.
I think they can clinch. I'm not sure, but I think they can clinch if they get a win. Maybe they already did
They
clinch.
clinch.
I don't.
They clinch playoffs. I think if they win this
Oh,
game.
okay.
I
Okay,
think
yeah, so
so.
I'm gonna go
I
with
think you're
Denver.
right about
Denver.
that. Yes, I'm going with Denver too. Bo he had 3 picks last week, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. I mean, if he plays smart with the ball, Denver's defense is much better than LA's. I'm going to take Denver all day, regardless of where. I think they're playing in LA though.
Yeah, they are, I
All right,
think.
here we go. Sunday game, 1 p.m. window. We got Texans Chiefs. Very
I think
interesting
that's on
one.
Saturday, actually, right? Isn't that a Saturday game?
Saturday game?
I think we
Yeah,
have a
we
couple
got.
Saturday games this week because college football's
You're
over.
right. Saturday 1 p.m. Oh yeah, there's two Saturday games. Wow. Saturday 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Chiefs Texans.
Um,
We're at Kansas City.
man, I mean, yeah, if they were in Houston, I feel like this would be slam dunk Texans for me, honestly.
Whoa.
Um, Mahomes is not healthy, and that offense
Yeah.
is it's a concern.
Yeah.
I th- uh, hmm. I
Wait,
think
do
I'm
we have
gonna go with the
confirmation that before you pick? Do we have confirmation that he's playing or not yet?
he's playing. He's playing, but
He is
he's
playing.
compromised.
Yeah, he's
I'm gonna
yeah.
go with the Chiefs, I think.
Interesting.
I don't I don't think the Texans looked that great against Miami. They only
Yeah,
won by, like, 8. I think I'm gonna go with
I
the
agree.
Chiefs, but I could easily see Houston snatching that one.
The Mahomes injury is super tough, but like the thing is they've been pulling off miracle after miracle after miracle
Yeah, like,
every
they
single
keep
week.
winning these close games.
And Mahomes was healthy though. He's not healthy now, so it's like, I mean, like that's a hit that ankle injury is probably the worst I've seen from him. Like he's had a lot of ankle injuries, but that was the worst one I've seen. He could barely walk, and it's like if it comes down to a game-winning drive on an injured leg, I don't think he pulls it off. I'm taking the Texans. I'm really gonna take the Texans. I think
Yeah.
Stroud shows out a little bit. Nico Collins, some of that deep ball action I like. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. I also, like you said, the Chiefs, they gotta lose a couple games eventually. Like how you said with the Lions last
Yeah,
week, they gotta lose a couple.
I'm still not sure. Maybe by the time we, end this
If
pod,
you
I
want to
might change
switch,
my mind
yeah.
on
If you want to
that.
switch, yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
I'm gonna think about it,
Saturday
I'm gonna think
four
about it.
thirty. Saturday 4:30. Your defense: Steelers versus Ravens.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Baltimore here. They need a win to keep
Mm,
pace in the North. This is gonna be one of those great AFC North slugfests. Tucker
yeah,
killed them last time, but,
yep,
I'm not high on the Steelers, so I'm
yeah,
gonna go Baltimore. Baltimore needs a
yeah,
win. I'm
yeah.
gonna
Give
go
me
with Baltimore.
Baltimore. Lamar's
Yeah.
been balling out, and the MVP conversation's getting tight, and I think Josh won it, but Lamar still wants to prove that he's
Lamar has
you know
very good stats too. I don't think
Lamar's yeah,
Josh
I
should be a
know, I know.
crazy favorite right now. I mean, Lamar is
No, I
having a
don't think
great
he's a
year.
crazy favorite. That's what I'm saying. Lamar's playing, he's playing really well. So I'm gonna go Ravens as well. Rams, Jets.
Yeah. Oof. You know, logic in me says cross country for the Rams coming into the cold. They're a dome team. Rodgers playing a little better, but the Jets barely beat the Jaguars last week, and they are not good. And situationally, I don't know if you caught the end of the game, but the Jets, Devontae got it down to like the 2 yard line with like a minute left, and Jacksonville had two timeouts. So logic
Yep.
says take two knees, kick the field goal, but the Jets scored on the first play, and the Jaguars got it to about midfield, and then Mac Jones, like, I
Yeah.
don't know what he was throwing. He threw it right to Sauce Gardner, end of the game. But I don't think the Jets are on the same level as a team like the Rams, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
take the Rams here. But it wouldn't
If you can
surprise me if
switch
it's
it.
like a closer game, like the Seahawks game, where
Yeah,
the Jets
I
should have
agree.
probably won.
It can't. You see, if it comes down to something like that again, you can't give Matthew Stafford the ball back with 2 minutes and two timeouts. That's a completely different quarterback, completely different offense. I'm gonna. I'm. See, I like your logic with the stadium though and the whole vibe because I don't think the Rams play well outside at all. I
Yeah,
mean, quite frankly, I'm gonna go the Rams though, just because like you said, the Jets defense is
yeah.
really weak. We talked about it really early on. I think
They
this will
can't
be
stop
another
the run.
slugfest.
No.
Yeah, I just think this will be a great passing offensive game for both sides though. I think you're gonna repeat the Rodgers and
I hope
Adams
so. I got
game
a lot
last
of guys
last week.
going in fantasy from
Yeah.
these
Well, yeah. I
offenses.
mean, maybe I don't want that then. Um. All right. Eagles, Commanders.
Ooh, another good game. Um, Commanders looking a little better after some struggles, but I'm still gonna go with Philly here. Philly's honestly one of the most sound teams in the
Yeah.
league.
Yeah. I just.
They're still in the mix for that
Think,
1 seed too, man.
yeah. Yeah. 100%. I think their defense is just 10 times better than the Washingtons. I think that's the big
Yeah,
factor. I mean, I'm not saying Jaden can't get stuff done. I just think he'll struggle more than Hurts will against Washington's defense. As simple as that.
yeah.
All right. New York Giants versus Atlanta Falcons. And the news that came out that we have not discussed yet is the Atlanta Falcons have now benched Kirk Cousins for their rookie first round pick, Michael Penix. Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, is this the week that the Giants do what everyone's expecting and mess up their draft pick and lose out on Shador? I'm gonna say no. Uh, this is not a
Mm,
good football team anywhere. I think if the Falcons lean on Bijan and Algier,
yeah,
um, I think they should be able to take care of business. I mean, they're 7-point favorites in a guy's first ever start. That's like unheard of.
yeah.
I mean, what was the
That's
score
very
last
rare.
week? Like 34-14? I know they played the
I don't
Ravens,
know.
but yeah, I'm gonna go with the
I don't
Falcons
know.
here.
I didn't
The
watch the
Giants don't have a
game. I don't
quarterback. I
watch
mean,
it.
it's as simple as
No,
that.
yeah. They don't have anybody. I like you know what it is though? I genuinely like Penix. I really do. And I wanted
I
to
like
actually
Penix
take
coming out
him.
too.
Yeah, I wanted to take him in our dynasty league, but I was like, Bo's probably gonna start. I was like, I took Bo purely for the fact that he's gonna start sooner than Penix. But I like Penix because he's in a similar situation as Bo. He's a little older, played a lot more college ball, but he has that experience, right? The dude has a lot of football experience. So I think he'll be fine. Give him a couple games to settle in. The Falcons already have a really great offense. You just missed out one aspect of a more mobile quarterback, which I think Penix is. And maybe he doesn't choose to run all the time, but he can extend plays more. So I think he's gonna be really good for the Falcons, and I think it was a
I
great
love
pick.
watching Michael
Yeah.
Penix throw the
Yeah.
football. It's actually
Oh
just
my God,
watching him in the playoffs.
he's
Like,
got a beautiful ball.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just, I mean, even if he's not good, just watching him play football is just watching him throw to Odunze and Polk in the playoffs last year. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So yeah, he might be entertaining. So, all right, Cardinals Panthers.
Oof. Think I'm gonna. I mean, okay. Well, did you see the quote where they told Kyler how cold it was gonna be, and he was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like 30 degrees," and he was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
I'm gonna uncomfortably pick the Cardinals here. They need a win to keep up in the NFC South. Sorry, NFC West race. So I'm gonna go with them, but I wouldn't be surprised if the
mm.
Panthers made it a tough game.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Cardinals as well. I I don't know what happened with the Panthers last week. I really don't. I think the Cowboys are just fighting for their life kind of thing. I think the Cardinals are going to do the same thing, like, just to stay
Yeah,
in it. So I think that's why I'm going to take the Cardinals as well.
yeah.
Uh, Browns, Bengals at Cincinnati.
Browns, Bengals. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bengals here. Browns are starting
Yeah.
DTR. The Jameis thing
Yep.
fizzled out. That's how it goes. Bengals offense is really good, so I expect a little bit more of the same from Burrow and Chase.
Yep, short and sweet. I'm sticking with the Bengals as well. Nothing much to discuss there. I think Bengals they have to win out to get in the playoffs, so they're gonna beat the Browns. Titans,
Yeah,
Colts.
I'm gonna go with the Colts. Titans, another team with quarterback change, going with Rudolph over Levis. Not a good football team. Gonna go with the Colts here.
Yep, I'm going with the Colts as well. I mean, Rudolph got nothing special. Richardson needs to clean it up. The Titans have a pretty tough D in my opinion. I mean, not super tough, but they have one of those
They have some
underrated
decent
defenses.
pieces. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think they'll give Richardson a hard time, but I think yeah, they genuinely just got to keep feeding Taylor. I think Taylor's a really good bell cow that they should be using more. So I'll give me the Colts. Lions Bears in Chicago.
yeah. Gonna go with the Lions. Obviously, this is a tough game for Jared Goff in the cold, but
Yep.
they need a win. They want that first seed in the NFC. Tough game last week. Gonna go with them to bounce back. If they can put up, 40 again, the Bears can't keep up with that. So
Yeah, there's no way. There's a lot of stuff going around with Caleb Williams saying his confidence has dropped a lot and he's just not happy. I don't know if these things are true. I don't know what's going on in that locker room. They need to find their coach quickly because
yeah, they
their
need a
coach needs to be a
coach.
guy that believes in Caleb. Okay, that's really what you need. I genuinely believe Caleb's been playing great. I just don't think the Bears offensive line has helped him that much. And I'm not saying that he's, made every single play that he should be playing. He's not playing correctly every single time. He's made rookie mistakes, so holding the ball too long, and that's fine. That's going to happen. We have to expect that. But he's the most sacked quarterback in the league. What do you expect him to do? I mean, you got all the pieces around him besides the offensive line. I mean, you really just got to build that line, give him a little more confidence, give him a little more time. He'll be fine. But give me the lines.
Yeah.
Vikings at Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, my logic last week was that's a tough trip for
Yeah.
whoever's coming. Do we know if Kenneth Walker is playing?
I th- I think he is, but he's still injured slightly.
Oh no, he's that was
Is
5
he
days
out?
ago. I don't really know. I don't even know. I don't think we know yet. He hasn't
Quite frankly, I don't think it
practiced.
matters.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, he does add a
Yeah.
great aspect of the running game, but Charbonnet filled in really well still.
Yeah, I'm not Vikings are 12-2, I think, but I'm just not super high on them. I
Interesting.
think I'm gonna take the Seahawks
Whoa.
again. Yeah, the
All
Seahawks need
right.
to win.
All right. I'm going Minnesota. I think the
Yeah.
Vikings win. I think they'd be tied with the no. What are the Lions right now? 12-2 or
I
something like
think they
that.
are
No,
tied with the Lions. Yeah.
they're tied with the Lions right now, right? So
Yeah.
I mean the Vikings. I think they compete for that number one overall seed. It's the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings that compete with that, and the Vikings know for sure that if they win this game, they are right up there with them still. I mean the Vikings.
Yeah.
You got the Pats and the Bills in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's should be an easy one. Taking Bills.
Yep.
Not much to say on that one.
I'll take the Bills. Let's move on immediately. Jags
Yeah.
versus Raiders.
Oh man. Wow.
This one's
Gonna go with
tough.
the
I think
I'm gonna go with the Jaguars here.
we picked the same one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the
Interesting.
Jaguars here.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, the Jaguars could have won that game last week against the Jets. So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see what was. Yeah, I agree with that. I think with Ritter as their quarterback, that the Raiders aren't really going to do much. Like you said, if O'Connell was still in, maybe. But I think the Raiders struggled a lot last week, and who knows? Maybe they get their feet back. But Mac Jones was just kind of like a Jameis Winston vibe, just throwing the ball as much as he possibly can the entire time. So yeah,
yeah.
I'll take the Jags. Niners Dolphins in
Oh man. I
Miami.
mean, is the team more banged up than the Niners are? I mean, I know the Lions are
Mm-mm.
really banged up. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna pick the Dolphins. The
Yeah,
49ers are on their fourth running back, I think. They're down CMC, they're down Jordan Mason, Guerrero. I just they're beat up, man, and they got
yeah.
some issues in
I
that
think,
locker room, obviously with Devondre Campbell, whole situation. So I'm gonna go with the Dolphins here.
dude, I really think the whole team got mad and cursed. But not even just McCaffrey, the whole team did.
Yeah,
So
literally,
I'm taking
literally.
Miami as well. I think, in Miami, Tua, last week he struggled a bit, but the weeks before that he was balling. He wasn't doing bad. So I think I like Miami. Bucks,
Yeah,
Cowboys, Sunday Night Football.
gonna go with the Buccaneers here. Should
Yep.
be a high scoring game. Good offense. Trying to win that NFC South.
Yep. Give me the Buccaneers as well. I love Baker. I love his energy. I know a lot of people think Baker is an enemy, but I love him every time. Yeah, I think they beat the Eagles last year in the playoffs, right?
They did. They knocked them out in the first
Yeah.
round.
Yep. That's why I love Baker even more. Love knocking out my rival. It was amazing. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
giving the Bucks. Saints Packers in Green Bay.
yeah. Packers for sure. Monday Night
Yep. Give
Football
me
in
the
Green Bay,
Packers.
right
Yeah.
before Christmas. It'll
I
be a
think
cold, maybe some snowy game. Yeah, I'm gonna go
yeah.
with the Packers.
The Packers only have 3 losses, right? Or 4 losses or something like that?
I think they're 10-4. I think they're ten and
Yeah,
four.
that's not bad at all. They're not a bad team either. They're gonna make the wild card. They're sneaky
No,
as
they're
well. So
good.
yeah,
They're a good
give me the
team.
Packers as well. Saints have no quarterback really. I mean, Spencer Rattler showed some bright spots to be fair, but they don't have it. star guy, I guess you could say. Everybody's banged up a bit. I think Kamara's banged up a little bit too. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, so just give me the Packers. Uh, all right, that brings us to the end. Chris, you got any final thoughts about anything?
that's it. Close game. I mean, close between Aiden and I in the picks. We split
Yeah,
on only a couple here, so
yeah, we didn't
shouldn't
do
be
that
that
many.
much of a difference one way or another. And then obviously, one of us will be heading to the fantasy championship this time next week, and the other one
Yep.
will not be. So we got a lot
Oh
riding on
God.
this. But
Yeah.
if I lose, I'm pulling for you to win the whole thing. So
Yeah. Same here, brother. Same here. Yeah. All right. With that being said, we'll end there. Thank you everybody for watching, listening. We started putting our audio on YouTube. We'll leave a link in our, if we post anytime. You just find us at Between the Lines with Aiden and Chris. I'll post all that stuff, and hopefully Chris will too, just see if you guys need more information. Um, yeah. Thank you
yep.
guys for listening, and see you guys next week.
See ya.